Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it is our favorite time of the week. There are new knives in front of me on the table. There's a lot of them, in fact. They're some of the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. So let's check them out. So we've almost got too many knives to fit on the table today, so we're going to try and keep it quick for your Thanksgiving viewing. But first off, ZT is kind of, furthering their dive into using MagnaCut steel on several of their models. A few weeks ago, we saw the 350, an old classic. Then we saw the 540, 545 or 535?
545.
545, brand new lightweight frame lock design with MagnaCut. Now a couple more classics are joining the list. The 562 with a MagnaCut blade and a canvas micarta handle. Now, what's so special about MagnaCut? It is premium stuff, and it combines high edge retention, high toughness, and is almost 100% stainless as well. Almost. And the cool thing about that is it does all three of those things well, whereas most steels, one of the three categories typically suffers when the other two get better. MagnaCut breaks the rules. It kind of does, at the risk of sounding hyperbolic, it kind of does everything. $300 for this knife. You've got the stone-washed finish on the blade, 3.5 inches long with the slicer grind, meaning it's more robust here at the heel of the blade. The angles are a little, stouter, a little more robust for heavier cuts. And then when you get out towards the belly, the grind climbs up a bit, thins out the geometry, and it's going to slice a little bit better in conjunction with that bellied area. Very cool thing. And the micarta, it's green micarta in this case, which has kind of that OD canvas vibe, has a bit of texture, kind of feels really nice next to a kind of a rough and tumble hard working steel like MagnaCut. And it gives you a little bit more texture than the titanium or carbon fiber versions as well. So you might be able to grip it a little bit better. Deep carry pocket clip, reversible and mounted inside the frame right there. Very nice for avoiding snags going in and out of the pocket. Frame lock, KVT ball bearings in the pivot, Hinderer style over travel disc here at the back, because this is of course a Rick Hinderer design. And let's flip it open, shall we? Very, very nice. Hardworking folder, kind of one of ZT's best in the lineup to this day, now with the most desirable steel of the day as well. Next up, we've got the 450 Blue CF, a Dmitry Sinkovich design, 256 for this with a 3.25 inch MagnaCut blade right here. Stone-washed finish on it as well. This knife has always been a very nice everyday carry, one of the smaller, more manageable ZTs, joined of course now by the 545 in a similar size range, where if you, something like the 562 like this is bit too much for you, not a bit more than you want to carry, you can still get ZT quality in this size as well. Blue carbon fiber here right on the front, single unsupported handle, not even a scale, single piece, unsupported by any liners or everything. It is rigid enough to manage that without adding the extra weight that those liners would bring. Blue standoffs there at the back, tie in the color. We have a 2-position pocket clip, non-deep carry, but it is reversible for left or right. And like the 562, we've got ball bearings in the pivot for nice, snappy, everyday action. Keeping the carbon fiber train rolling, something that I was am more impressed with it now that it's in my hands than I was kind of anticipating it coming out. This is the full-sized Freek with carbon fiber handles and S90V blade steel, and comes pre-installed with that little bit of lint from when we wiped the blade off. $315 for this S90V, tons of edge retention there, quite stainless, not quite as tough as something like MagnaCut as well. Again, most steels have a bit of a trade-off, but you should get more edge retention out of this than your MagnaCut steel. The cool thing about this knife is, it's a full-size knife. It has some thickness to the handles right there. Like, it's a full grip, not shrimpy, not flat and slim, and yet it carries, or it wields in the hand like something more nimble. Full weight on this, Actually, the weight on our website right now is 4.12 ounces. We'll see if we can get that changed because I weighed this at 3.8. It's a noticeable difference, and the carbon fiber is the reason for it. You've got the kind of liner for the axis lock there coming back right about to this screw, just past it, but the rest is just carbon fiber, and as such, the weight is kept nice and low, and yet the balance of that knife is perfect. Right where your index finger sits, so it doesn't even feel like you're holding anything. It just moves with you. Very, very cool, and in person versus on paper, it just really, really impresses. In addition to the carbon fiber, we've got red on the back spacer, or the barrel spacers, and the dual thumb studs right there. The S90V, as mentioned, for great edge retention, high flat grind, appropriate blade stock thickness there for a good blend of strength, and even more so, great slicing ability with this, this edge geometry. Reversible pocket clip, ambidextrous axis lock. I mean, great sound on this one too. It's fantastic. Yes, it's pricey, but it feels honestly worth it to me in hand. Check it out. Now you could of course save some money on a design of this size with the standard version of the Freek, which comes with G10 handles and I believe an M4 blade, which won't hold an edge like the S90V, but it is very tough. And the G10 works perfectly well. It's about $252 for that version, but just the lightweight nature of the carbon fiber here, I honestly think transforms the feel of the knife in a very noticeable way when you hold them side by side. All right, next up, newly back in stock after the first run of these went pretty much immediately, the Vosteed Knives RSKAOS, coming in about $249. Kind of a funny name. I've been calling it the RSKAOS just because it amuses me. But what you have here, even though they're not legally allowed to call it the compression lock, they're calling it a top liner lock. Now that Spyderco's patent on their compression lock is out, other manufacturers can do the same thing. So you've got what looks like a liner from the top side here, and they are actuating it with a button rather than a cutout like you would see on a Spyderco. And you've got that liner which essentially has a tab that locks or interfaces into a corresponding indent or space in the blade itself. Very strong lock, and with the button actuation here, easier to use for a lot of folks probably, and nice and finger safe since you do have a nice free floating action, but your fingers completely out of the way as the blade closes. You've got great flipping action, you've got pretty good reverse flicking action, actually more than pretty good, and standard thumb opening with that blade cutout as well. Titanium is the handle material. You've got M390 for the blade, 3.5 inches or thereabouts. Compound grinds, but more for style than anything else, I would say. You've got this finger choil here that, one, makes room for the button to pass through, also gives you a choke up point, and you have this one section of more robust flat grind here at the back. But I mean, you're talking like maybe a 1/2 inch, if that, of space there. Really hard to not kind of slip out of that 1/2 inch zone if you're trying to cut something with that more robust geometry. It's, like I said, more for looks. You've got mostly a more efficient flat grind. Not a super slicey knife out and out though. As you can see from the geometry there, this is built for a bit more strength in its shape. M390, of course, is gonna hold an edge a good long time, but it's not the toughest. So if you want to use this knife in a more hard use scenario, or this steel in a more hard use scenario, the tougher geometry or more strong geometry there is going to pay dividends. You've got two blade shapes, the reverse, I almost said it, the sheep's foot and the Warncliffe style blades right here. Each one available in either of these two finishes, either gray or black stonewashed. They feel incredibly well put together, especially for a $250 knife, which again is not cheap, but for what you're paying for these, they're definitely giving you a lot for your money. All right, let's show some more affordable stuff here, because everything here was pretty expensive so far. I am really digging on this new Joker Erizo sounds pretty good. $50 knife right here. 4116 stainless, 3-inch blade, olive wood handles. It is a really cool design, and especially at this $50 price point, I think makes a great first fixed blade for a kid, given its size, makes a great gift option this time of year as well. It is comfortable. It has enough chunkiness to the handle that you will be able to use it in, you know, heavier work than you would a similar sized knife with a shrimpier handle. Man, it feels really good. It comes with a very high quality leather sheath. There you go, right there. That's gonna work really well for you. I don't know what to say, man. The fit and finish is great. It's bolt-on handle scales, but there's like no seam really that you can get your finger in. They may be finished, once they attach them, they may finish them actually on the tang itself to get that nice smoothness right there. But that's really nice. Even if it's not a first fixed blade for a kid, great smaller companion knife when you're out camping. It's got enough thickness there to be really durable and, you know, tackle some heftier cuts. And it's got that grip that you need to wield this, you know, 3-inch blade with great effectiveness right there. Works well as a small skinner, works well in all kinds of little different grips. Can make a great campfire whittler as well, I dare say. Check it out. I'm just noticing something else here. Yeah, they might finish these once they are on the handle, because the bolts themselves as well are following the contour of the handle scales right there, which says to me they bolted them on there and then came in with their grinding belts, smoothed things out, and kept the great ergonomics of that handle intact. $50 knife, that is absolutely fantastic. Next up, we've got a ton of releases from Sencut, CIVIVI, and WE, which is all the same company. You can kind of think of their tiers as being good, better, best in terms of the internal lineup. We're going to start with the Sencut stuff because it is offering, honestly, insane value for money. Just like this Joker, but in some different ways. The first, the Sencut Phantara. 3.7-inch blade, 9CR series stainless, so roughly 440C levels in terms of performance. It is big, it is broad. You've got G10 for the handles, ball bearings in the pivot, liner lock, and a deep carry pocket clip. I mean, the list of features there is exactly what you want. Like, it's got premium feeling things, really well put together things at just over $43 for this knife. Just an insane amount of knife for the money. Big and broad, high flat grind. This is going to be a very efficient slicer, especially with that continuous belly there as you kind of roll through the cuts. That's going to be really nice. The tip is still nice and acute though as well, so you can use that quite effectively. G10's got a bit of texture, so you're not going to lose your grip on it. You've got the flipper tab for opening, and as you can see, it opens it really, really well. You've also got that blade cutout. I haven't tried reverse flicking this yet. That looked awkward. It reverse flicked just fine. I've got a little like trigger finger thing going on with my pinky right now, so that's kind of messing me up a little bit.
Excuses.
But it still works pretty well. In typical Sencut fashion, you're going to have a handful of different blade finishes and handle material or handle color options available. I think they're all G10 here. There might be a wood option. There is a wood option, so if you want that, you can check that out as well. And that is like $3.50 more for the wood, so not a terrible upcharge there as well. Wickedly good wickedly good knife for the money, I would say. Even less money, just under $40, and almost as much sharpened edge, the GlideStrike from Sencut. Same features, you know, liner lock, ball bearings, reversible deep carry clip here, 9CR series stainless. A little bit less sharpened edge. Blade length itself from tip to scale almost the same, however, just under $40. I mean, look at that nice satin finish on that at that price level too. Really nice. Now, ostensibly, I think they intend this to be a front flipper. We all know I'm not the best at front flippers at the best of times, and I can just barely get it to slow roll personally. I would rather open it with the cutout right there, which works fine in the reverse flick and fine in the standard open as well. Actually, I haven't tried. I could probably flick it open with the thumb. Yeah, there's enough purchase there to pull that off, which is pretty nice. Fit and finish is great. I mean, you've got all these things are put together really well. You've got really thin edges on these knives, so they are going to cut very efficiently, especially when they've got this good high flat grind behind it. Come on, it's hard to see them not winning at just about anything they're doing right now. Really, really good value for the money. Moving up to the CIVIVIs, first one today, we've got the BullTusk Flipper. This is coming in at $65. You got a 3.5-inch blade, but you've got 14C28N stainless steel here rather than the 9CR. So a little bit of a bump up. Edge retention should be a little bit better. The toughness should be way better, however, than the 9CR stuff right there. That's kind of a really good thing with 14C28N, especially on a knife with very thin edges, like CIVIVI likes to do. You've got the stability behind the edge for it to kind of hold up as you use it, which lets you have a thinner edge that's going to cut better without kind of giving up the durability. Purple micarta on this particular knife, and their purple micarta is looking very, very good. You've also got other handle materials as mentioned, as they like to do. You've also got an Ultem handle material right now, which is kind of the new hotness, which we'll see some more here in a minute. That comes with a Damascus blade if you want to spice things up a little bit. Construction is similar though. You've got, ball bearings, deep carry pocket clip, liner lock, flipper tab. The deep carry clip here in this case is actually pocketed with flush mounted screws into the handle right there, which is a differentiation between the Sencuts, which are not pocketed. And action, flippers great, flicks great, and thumbs open wonderfully as well. I mean, everything you want. Bit more compact, but still plenty of working blade on that knife. It's only more compact in comparison to these almost 4-inch knives right here. The other stuff this week from CIVIVI at least is kind of updates on some classics. So we'll kind of breeze through those a little bit. The Brazen Tonto has always been a very cool knife. Now you can get it with a button lock. $63 and some change for this version. 3.5-inch 14C28N blade, which I think the original Tonto versions of these were D2. One of the original versions of the Brazen was in D2. I think it was the Tonto. If not, you can ignore that last sentence. But really cool blade shape. It's got a useful Tonto shape for everyday carry or for your tactical uses. The button lock action, as you can see, it's what you hope for. Flips open really nicely with the thumb stud. Hold the button down and flick it closed. Great, no problems. Finger safe. You can flick it open as well if you wish. You've got thumb studs. So a lot of different ways to open this knife depending on where you're accessing it from, or if you just like to kind of play around with your knives. And who doesn't like to do that, of course. G10, full-length liners, non-pocketed deep carry pocket clip in this case, put ball bearings in the pivot, and a handful of different color and blade finishes to choose from. When we're talking about all-time favorite CIVIVIs, you got to talk about the Elementum. I mean, this is the knife that more than anything else is kind of their signature product at this point. This version right here is actually a 2-piece set. $76 and some change. You've got, it's the Elementum 2, which is the original size with the button lock, and a StellarQuill pen. I'll get to that in a second. But here is the knife itself, 3-inch blade, Nitro V steel on this one, which is similar to your 14C28 that we talked about already. High hollow grind on this one, kind of versatile, do-it-all drop point shape. A little bit thicker than the original, and that's to make space for the button lock mechanism right there, which, like the Brazen, works really well. It's kind of stopping for me a little bit right there. There's a little bit less mass in the blade to swing closed. You just have to give it a little bit more wrist right there. Deep carry pocket clip, not reversible on this particular knife, although on the Brazen it is. But you do get that pocketed clip on this version. And the colorway here with ivory G10 and red liners looks really distinctive. It looks almost like, reminds me of like sneakers, tennis shoes, that sort of thing, rather than a knife, which could be a good thing. I always like seeing new color, non-black knives. We see so many black knives here that's always fun for us to see more than that. And here's the pen. It's, it feels like it's made out of aluminum. I could probably look at the spec sheet and tell you for sure. Yeah, it is aluminum. And it's small enough to fit on a keychain. It's not so slippery though that it's gonna be slick in use, but it unscrews and you just got this little ballpoint pen right here. It doesn't post. I haven't tried, I mean, it's threaded, yeah. No, this end is threaded, so it's not gonna really stick on the back, but depending on your hand size, this maybe just enough, or you might be wishing there was a little bit more. But just doing this on a table without actually drawing or writing anything with it, I feel like I've got just enough there, even though I have slightly larger than average hands, to get a grip on it. I wouldn't want to write with this for like a half an hour on stuff, but putting your signature on things, jotting down some quick notes, definitely a usable little proposition right there, and small enough to keep on you just about anywhere. Comes with a couple of refills in the package, so you've got some extra for when this runs out. And this is a great, speaking of gifting season, this set right here, really great combination of items. Next up, we had the CIVIVI version now of the KnifeCenter Typhoeus, which looks like this, or looks like this, depending on what you want. So it is a convertible push dagger. They call it a folding push dagger, and yeah, it kind of does, but I'd rather call it like a convertible, because you cannot actually fold the blade completely closed. Two price levels of this. This is the most expensive one right here, but G10 versions with a 14C28N blade start at just over $63. Way more affordable than the titanium and 20CV configuration. I think it was 20CV of the original Wii version. There's also aluminum handled versions with the 14C28N blade. Those are a little bit more. Where do those come in? About $95. And this version with the aluminum and VG10 core Damascus coming in about $115. Really, really cool looking, especially this version. And I think the reasoning for this, like when I first saw this, I kind of had to say to myself, like, why? What's the point of this? Well, it comes down to the sheath, I think. This is kind of billed, I think, as a self-defense implement, but something that, are you ever going to use a knife like this in self-defense? For most folks, there's like a 0.001 chance you will need to use it as such, but every day you can find something to actually cut. So this configuration is going to be a little bit more usable. It's not locking, it's simply folds with friction right there, but you have your finger right there to kind of keep it from folding closed on you. You can still move it around a little bit, so keep that in mind, but you've got a really nice control over the blade, about 2¼ inches long, high flat grind, very acute tip. Nice little utility knife. But the way you carry this knife would be in this sheath right here. It's made of leather, and that's satisfying. Look at how that slots in there quite nicely. And then you've got the flap over the top, simple belt loop on the back. So it's on your person in quote unquote self-defense mode. You can reach in and grab it fairly quickly. Of course, you will want to practice with anything you want to kind of defend yourself with, but you can get to it really quickly for when you need to, and then easy enough to flick it open into the standard position when you want to actually use it for opening boxes, slicing things. You can do this, you can play with it a little bit, but be careful. Anyway, several versions of this now available at a much, much, much more affordable price than the original titaniums. Next up, I mentioned Ultem material, which is this. It's basically this kind of amber colored translucent plasticky material. I don't know if it's plastic is the right term or not, but you gotta know what I'm talking about, don't you? Really popular right now, especially on models like these two here, where you can see a bit of the innards of the knife. And as I said, CIVIVI's kind of, updating some classics, and these are two of their most popular knives, apart from the Elementum, of course, the Conspirator, and this, the Vision FG, which is new for this year. So why not throw some Ultem on it these days? $89 and some change, 3.5-inch Nitro V blade on this, the Ultem handles, which I like the shape overall of the handles here in relation to the blade. I'll get to more of that in a second. And Snex's Super Lock. Snex, of course, is the designer of this knife and this lock. What's cool about the spine-mounted orientation of this blade is it's completely ambidextrous and keeps your fingers out of that blade path while closing. Two features I tend to appreciate. Whether you think you need them or not, that's fair enough, but I like them, and I think it's a very nice feature indeed. You can flick the blade open and close quite easily. You've also got thumb studs, as opposed to the blade cutout of the knife versions, which are also still available if you want more premium materials than these. The pocket clip on the CIVIVI version, though, I think is way more useful for most folks. It's deep carry and it is reversible from side to side, as opposed to being spine mounted on the Wii version. Some folks like it. It's a little fiddlier and a little less standard for the way most folks I think probably like to use their knives nowadays. But what I like about this shape overall, as I mentioned, is part of the original design intent, as I understand it, at least what I've heard through the grapevine, is there's knuckle clearance and some drop to the edge so you can work on a cutting board doing some food prep. Mainly cutting fruits, I think, was a lot of the original need or original desire for it. But you've got that bit of drop, and so you've got a little bit of a food preppy kind of qualifications to it, as well as just going to be something that works great on anything where you're working on a surface. I think of things like, you know, cutting carpet or cardboard on a cutting mat, anything like that, where you need that clearance. That should be pretty good. The action's really nice on it too. I mean, that's just a lot of fun. The Conspirator, also insanely popular CIVIVI knife, 3.5-inch Nitro V blade, drop point with a full flat grind. It's a big do-it-all knife shape. Plenty of neutrality to the handle here. Same thing with that Vision, actually. Big hands or small hands, no problem, thanks to that handle shape. There's nothing to kind of get in the way of the different hand sizes. The Ultem here, you can really see the interior with the satin skeleton, basically. I should say both of these two knives also have a black blade, black liner versions, but those come with a bead blasted finish as opposed to the polished finish that you see right here, and it just shines more. It's got more sparkle, which makes them more photogenic and look better on camera. So we're gonna go with these, right? Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible, not pocketed. Button lock, which does that thing oh so well. You can do your flicking, you can do your flipping. You've even got these dual fullers on the blade, which allow you to do things like reverse flick or even open it with your thumb, which is also, I think, a very cool thing indeed. Moving up to the Wii knife releases, this time we have a button lock version of the Kitefin, or several actually. This is my favorite. There's actually another one over here. Didn't have it on the table. Several different versions. As you can see, this one is anodized gold and then milled away, and then black, or it's probably blackened first and then milled away. I don't know how they're getting this two-tone finish, but it looks fantastic. You've also got titanium versions with inlays. This one being the Jungleware Fat Carbon. All of these button lock Kitefins are limited edition. Let me just check the box, make sure I'm not making that up. Yes, and slightly different numbers on each, but somewhere just north of 150 pieces of each of these variants is going to be made. You can see all of them at the link in the description. I'll pick this one back up here. I love the shine of this this gold on black milling pattern on this knife. It's very, very cool. 225 bucks and change for this. You've got a 20 CV blade, about 3¼ inches long, hollow ground, very thin blade, very thin edge, very acute tip. This is a precision cutter compared to some other things out there. It's just got that vibe to it. But there's a little bit more to the handle than the original versions of the Kitefin. They, like some of the CIVIVIs that they've added button locks to, they had to thicken things up just a little bit to make room for the mechanism. But you get that, like the Elementum, needs a little bit more wrist to get it to close than some of the bigger bladed knives out here. But it flips open super crisply. You can do that, that wrist flick open or close, of course, no problem as well. Little more meat to the handle to push that blade harder. Deep carry pocket clip, almost deep carry, I should say. And that is reversible. Check them out. Very cool design. I'm glad to see them adding the button lock to it because that's cool too. Next up, we've got a new design. This is a GTC design, or Gustav T. Cecchini, or is it just Gus? I'm not even sure.
GTC.
Cecchini. GTC design with his SLT flipper mechanism, which is basically this little captive piece which moves with the blade, as you can see right there, but it kind of stages open with that, and then you flip the blade open. And I'll talk about this and then I'll show you a little bonus here. $425 for this. This is an integrally milled titanium handle. So you can see a single piece of titanium, no seam at the back, no screws holding it together. It is just a solid chunk of metal to provide a really great backbone. With a frame lock here on the back, nice big contrasting color on the lock bar insert right here, which you can actually see from the outside. That also functions as an over travel arrestor, so you can't pull that titanium lock bar out too far. Nice milled clip, very angular faceted design, very cool blade, 3.88 inches of 20 CV blade steel right there. Very, very cool. And as is typical, there will be a handful of different titanium color options as well as blade finishes. Is there a Damascus version this time? In this version, let me check. No Damasteel version right off the bat. Maybe one in the future, who knows. But really distinctive styling, but not at the sacrifice of a usable knife, which reminds me of something. Something is the ZT55, which happens to be something Thomas carries regularly. Thomas, may we borrow your ZT55 here for a moment? Thank you, sir. Same designer, GTC, different implementation, but you've got the SLT flipper tab, you've got the compound grinds. On both of them, you've got more stout, more robust flat grind at the back and a higher flat grind at the front. Overall though, the WE knife is going to be the better slicer. The blade steel itself is thinner and the grinds are a bit higher, so your geometries are going to be a bit better. I would say the edges are thinner, and I could probably place a bet on that. This is not a fully accurate representation though, because Thomas has sharpened this several times, so the edge is a bit thickened up. But it is kind of interesting holding them side by side. They're a bit more similar next to each other than I thought they were going to be, again, just based on photos, but that's pretty cool. Apart from the visual and geometry differences that I mentioned, the other kind of big difference, just for those who care, is that SLT flipper tab. On the ZT, there's a lot of travel there. Really, you have to pull it way out in order to use it, and then of course I flub the flipping action, whereas on the new Solid, it's a much smaller amount of travel. It stages more readily and flips open just as nicely if you know what you're doing.
What a difference a couple of years makes.
What a difference. I mean, you've carried this quite, like it truly is kind of like your everyday carry, except when you, occasionally you'll swap it out for something else, but like Thomas actually uses his knife. Let that be a lesson to some of you out there. No comment?
Use your knives, man.
Use your knives, man. Use your stuff. Or don't. Whatever makes you happy. One more this is the Tashi Bharucha Speedliner frame lock flipper. This is the expensive version with a Damasteel blade, which of course is a powder metallurgy created Damascus product. So you get, the performance here should be something like CPM 154 or RWL 34 more technically. But you get the cool kind of look of that folded steel. Standard versions of this knife start at about $285. And that is with 20 CV blade steel, which to be fair should hold an edge longer than the Damascus, but the Damasteel specifically versions, this one right here being like $625. So you really got to want that look to spend the extra coinage there, I would think, but it does look quite cool. 3.4-inch blade, straight backed on the spine, plenty of the length of that is belly with a full flat grind, and with this handle shape to kind of go along with that, aggressive belly right there, you're going to be able to use all of that belly if you're doing anything on a work surface. You can really take advantage of that, or if you're just cutting things standard, it also points pretty naturally as well. That's a bit of an advantage because the straight back of the spine keeps the tip higher. The handle lets you hold it in a way that brings the tip down, so it makes it more usable. It's kind of a cool little trick. My favorite part of this knife, though, is the way the handle is put together. It's not integral like the GTC, but it is all titanium, and you've got this massive milled backspacer, essentially. You can see where it seams in between the two bits here. It kind of caps the back section of the handle, the part that, this part of your hand is going to be interfacing with when you hold it forward. That's really cool. It kind of eliminates points where your flesh might get pinched or caught up in, and then terminates here at the back, kind of ending that cap and integrating that lanyard space there as well. Really cool construction, and being a WE knife, it's constructed really, really well too. So Check them out. A lot of wee CIVIVI Sencuts this week. We'll leave links to all of them below, as per usual.
It's a big list.
It's going to be a big old list. Next up, case knives. They have their traditional stuff, which they're well loved and well known for. They've also got their modern flippers, which are built in the same factory by the same people who build the slip joints. They've been doing a pretty good job. And now we've got some new versions of it with fat carbon handles. Are these fat carbon? They might not be actual name brand fat carbon, but the kind of marbled carbon fiber with coloration in them. Several different ones to choose from. I just picked one of each of their 3 models to showcase. This is the Kinzua, spelled Kinzua, but pronounced Kinzua. $175 for this one. You got an S35 VN blade. This is the drop point version. They also make a Tanto blade version, of course, with the blue and black carbon fiber. Aluminum for the frame lock right there, deep carry pocket clip, and good flipping action on these. Ball bearings, nice premium steel. Bit on the thicker side. These aren't really efficient slicers in the same way that their traditional slip joints are, which are exceptionally good slicers. These are more for the heavy duty brute force folder to kind of go alongside the more slicey, more precise knives that they make. The case is the same. Didn't even mean to do that. Case, get it? With the Marilla. Also $175, 3.4 inch S35 VN blade. Nice and stout, as you can see from its geometry. And this is a white and black carbon fiber on the front. A little bit flatter, but you have a milled inlay, quote unquote, in there to give you some traction. And then a little bit more space on the cutout there for the lock bar release and your nice manual flipping action as well. And last but not least, their Westline, which is a little bit more expensive than those, about $195. S35 blade, 3.2 inches. Slicier, however, than the frame lock versions here. This is a liner locking knife. A little bit more efficient for more precise tasks, but still definitely more robust than their slip joints. Black and white carbon fiber on both sides, since this is a liner lock and not a frame lock. Good feel in the hand, plenty of length there, even if you're wearing heavy duty work gloves. And on that note, easy to actuate thanks to these stepped thumb studs, even if you're wearing heavy duty work gloves. And the other thing you'll notice is this one is an assisted opening action as well. Very cool, very original too. Whereas the other 2 knives, they're kind of riffs on established archetypes. The Westline kind of creates its own thing, which I think makes it even extra special. There you go, check them out. Now, in keeping with cool finishes, we're gonna end with some ProTechs, and this is hands down my favorite finish that ProTech does. This is their Del Fuego finish on the Godson automatic right here. $240 for this one. And look how cool that looks. Each one's a little bit different. They just all look awesome though. You've got that signature ProTech sound. I mean, great snappy automatic knife action. 154 cm steel on these. 3 1/4 or just over 3 1/8 of an inch long. And you've got that tapered, modernized riff on the classic Italian stiletto. Kind of minimized down to remove all the extraneous bits while still maintaining kind of that classic vibe, at least in my opinion. The firing button has a bit of mother of pearl, just to keep the accent a little nicer too. Standard 3-hole pocket clip here on the one side. I mean, does anyone do push button auto action better than ProTech? Not sure anyone does. And with a finish like this, I mean, deserving of a chef's kiss if anything ever was. I mean, check that out.
Spicy chef's kiss.
It's a spicy chef's kiss. That's a spicy knife, a very spicy knife. And last but not least, one more ProTech. I gotta reach all the way over off the side of the frame for this one. New version of the SBR Auto, the short-bladed Rockeye. $560 for this one. Titanium handles, 2-tone, milled with this really cool, like, quote-unquote inlay with a knurled texture going on. Looks fantastic. Great feel on a knife this size too. I mean, you're dealing with a 2.5 inch S35 VN blade, but you've got a handle there that you could kind of gorilla grip with all 4 fingers. At least I can, even though I do have slightly larger than average hands. You can really, really get some muscle behind that short blade if you need to. But it's there for you when you need smaller work as well. It's ready to, you know, be nice and polite when you need it to be, and shout loud when you need it to do that as well. Deep carry pocket clip on this, pocketed with flush mounted screws, very nice implementation, and the two-tone here between the blue and the bronze, what are they calling it? Yeah, bronze. Looks very, very good. But it's not aluminum. Does it still have that signature ProTech sound? Oh yeah, yes it does. Check them out. You can actually check out our whole ProTech selection if you like, because we're always getting new stuff in. It's always cool. We don't always have the space to show it on a new knives video, so make sure to check them out. And
bookmark that page.
And bookmark that page. This is all we have for now.
All.
All, the whole table worth. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of the knives down in the comments to get your hands on the knives. As always, there will be links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope everyone has some nice time with family and friends if you're able, and if not, or if you need to get away from those family or friends for a few minutes.
At least eat well.
At least eat well, and you can enjoy this video while you're killing time in the bathroom, hoping no one notices you're gone. Anyway, folks, if you do click over to the links in the description, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program. So if you're buying a knife like one of these for yourself this season, or looking for that great gift for someone special, you're going to earn some free money to spend towards a future knife. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off, everyone. Gobble, gobble.